Hi and welcome. In this video I'm going to be changing the rear brake pads on our Moto Guzzi 750 Breva. Now I've taken the left-hand muffler off really just so that I can show you what I'm doing on camera. You don't need to take this muffler off, but if you do it'll certainly make it easier to see what you're doing. Now the first thing we need to do is drive out this pin from the other side, so I'll do that now. Before you drive the pin out you will need to remove the circlip. Then you can pull it the rest of the way out with a pair of pliers, just taking care not to lose that clip. Now unlike the front brake caliper, the pads don't actually come out this side, they actually come out the inside. The pads are actually bigger than this opening. So what we have to do is undo this caliper mounting bolt and take it off, and loosen this one and swivel the caliper down so we can take the pads out from the inside. Now ours actually has a shim washer between the caliper and the caliper mount. Strange enough, if you look in the spare parts book, it shows a washer on this side. But if you actually look at the alignment of the caliper to the disc, the washer actually needs to be on the inside, at least on our particular bike. Now I'll loosen this bolt. Now before we retract the pistons in the caliper, it's a good idea to check the fluid level in the rear brake master cylinder. It's located under the seat, just on the right hand side, just behind the right hand side cover. So you want to wipe it down with a rag first so you don't get any dirt in there. And we just want to make sure if the pads are at their wear limit that the fluid level is at the minimum marking in this master cylinder. If it's at the upper level, you'll need to remove some fluid with a syringe. Otherwise, when you retract those pistons in the caliper, this fluid will actually overflow here. So this actually looks about right. It's right down to the minimum level, so we can now go ahead and retract those pistons. But before you do, replace the cap so that you don't squirt any fluid out when you do it all over your paintwork. Now before we take the pads out, we'll just reseat the pistons. Swivel this round. And that's both pads removed. Fitting the new pads is quite straightforward. Put one pad on the back of the disc and slide it down into the caliper. We'll require a bit of fiddling to get it in, and then slide one on the front side of the disc into the caliper. That's both pads in. I'm going to fit my spacer in. Nut. Now we just refit this spring clip on top here, push it in, get the pin in, and just tap it in with a pin punch. And don't forget to refit the circlip. Now we just pump the brake lever up until we've reseated the pads against the disc. Now that we've replaced the pads, the next thing we should do is check the fluid in the master cylinder and top up if required. Well, that's it, rear brake pads replaced. It's a little bit more involved than replacing the pads in the front caliper, but still quite doable and quite simple once you know the technique. I'll see you next time.